It is, or it was, a chicken heart.
Chicken heart? Are you crazy, man?
Chicken heart! Yes, chicken heart, I tell you. Chicken heart! Listen to me, you fools! Listen!
All right, welcome back to Chicken Heart Productions presentation of a podcast in black and white. I am John Grisolano.
Mary Grisolano or Mary Mo.
Joe Mo.
Jenny Grisolano. Julie Grisolano.
Mike Grisolano or Father Grizz.
And on this podcast, we talk about old movies, especially, hopefully, black and white films. We haven't gotten to color yet because there's so many black and white movies to talk about. This week's selection is Flying Deuces. But before we hand over Flying Deuces to Joe, because this was his selection, we're going to give our mandatory spoiler alert.
Go get him, Chicken Heart. Go get him.
These are movies that are 70-something years old in this case. So we're going to talk about everything we want to talk about. If you don't want to know what's going to happen, don't listen right now. Come back and listen later after you watch the movie. But if you don't mind, we're going to discuss everything. And so after saying that, spoiler, we hand this over to Joe. Joe, why did you choose this movie? And then tell us something about it.
I grew up watching Laurel and Hardy. So Laurel and Hardy was pretty big in my childhood. And I haven't seen any Laurel and Hardy since I was a kid. Like, I probably haven't seen a Laurel and Hardy movie in close to 28 years. And I've seen, like, so many of them. And actually, when I picked this one, I was confused. I was thinking I was picking a different movie. But I still like this one a lot, too. This one's called Flying Deuces. It was made in 1939. In some places, it's also called Flying Aces, I believe. So it depends on which country you're in, what the title of the movie is. It's a short movie. You can watch it in an hour and 7 minutes, I think, is the runtime on it. Two versions. There's one that's just the Flying Deuces movie, and then there's another one that has like another half-hour movie tacked onto it. In this one, Stan and Ollie are in Paris, I believe, on a vacation trip, and Ollie falls in love with the innkeeper's daughter. Ollie falls in love a lot in the Laurel and Hardy movies, as I recall. But she's actually married to somebody else, and Ollie's so upset he's going to commit suicide. It was funny because there's a scene where he tied himself to a block, and he ties Stan with him because if he's going to die, then Stan has to go with him. And Stan's trying to talk.
I like that. I liked that scene.
I liked that
That
scene.
was a clever scene.
Yeah.
You know, there's a shark in that scene.
Yes, there
And
is.
in some versions of the movie, that shark is cut out.
That was my one thing I didn't like in that scene was the shark doesn't really do a whole lot.
No.
I thought it was unnecessary. Other than I think its fin doesn't it slice Ollie's pants
Ollie
or something?
is
But
quite obviously trying to bend over the little river thing, waiting for the fin to cut his trousers.
but it doesn't eat them or do anything. Like it
It's
doesn't.
supposed to add to the suspense, I think.
There's no dramatic tension from their part because they never really see it.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And I think in a lot of versions of the film that it's cut out.
But otherwise, that was a clever. It just had some of the lines I liked. Danley's reaction when he's tying and he's like, "What? Oh, I don't. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I don't want to die." Ollie's like, "No, you're going with me." He's like,
Well, the funny thing about Laurel and Hardy is that Stan Laurel was actually the brains behind the operation. He wrote a lot of this stuff, and he wanted to direct. In fact, they had a director who made this film, and him and Stan Laurel clashed really bad. It was like pretty bad tension on the set of this one. The director was actually, one of his quotes was, "I would rather eat a tarantula than work with that man again."
The only other actor in this I knew I don't know if you guys recognize anybody else. It was Reginald Gardner.
From Christmas in Connecticut.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's the only guy I
character?
recognize. Reginald Gardner
The
is the husband,
Oh,
the
right.
officer in the
In the
Foreign Legion,
Yeah.
whom I've only seen in comedies.
He's great. I like
He's just totally straight in this.
kind of finicky.
This sort of, yeah, but he's an officer in the French Foreign Legion.
Now, gentlemen, what seems to be the trouble?
Well, if you don't mind, we're going to jump in the river.
But why commit such a foolish action? Surely your troubles can't be as bad as all that.
So, Joe, what happens? They don't actually obviously commit suicide. What do they do instead?
They actually, Francois, who happens to be the husband of the woman that Oliver Hardy's in love with, but he doesn't realize that that's who this person is, walks by and tells them they should join the Foreign Legion instead of trying to kill themselves.
Why? Because it'll help him to forget.
Forget.
And he says, well, how long? You know, and he said, I think he says days. So the goal that they have is that Laurel and Hardy are going to join the Foreign Legion so that Hardy can forget his falling in love and being dumped by this
Right.
A married woman.
Yeah, this French married woman.
Yeah, and I think they have a discussion about what would they'd rather come back as if they were to die during that.
Yes, they do.
And I think was it Laurel who said he'd want to come back as a horse, or was it Oliver that said he would want to come
It's
back?
Ollie.
Ollie says he'd want to come back as a horse,
Yeah.
which was kind of a whole funny little.
No,
thing.
we skipped a little of the opening stuff, but I found it interesting because I couldn't tell at first when it was the innkeeper's daughter that he's in love with. Ollie sends her a picture of himself, right, with some chocolates
And
Yeah.
flowers.
and flowers, and she's sitting around with all these other French girls, and they're giggling, but it's not clear what they're. And then you realize, of course, that she's finds him ridiculous in a way, in a sweet way. You know, it was kind of a. But he doesn't see the obvious, of course.
And he asks her to marry him
Yes, yeah.
in the awkward scene of the movie.
Yeah. You know, we also skipped I don't usually like physical comedy, but I did enjoy the physical comedy in the bedroom
The
before
washing basin?
Ollie. Yeah, with the wash basin and keep hitting their head on the slanted ceiling and.
How anyone could be so stupid as to stand there and continually bump their head is beyond me.
I found that to be cute. I like Laurel and Hardy's their physical comedy shtick. I always enjoy, besides just their banter.
So what happened? They joined the Legion.
They joined the Legion, not realizing that this is like a lifelong commitment thing that they had just signed up.
They
for.
basically
think
joined
it's
the
a
army.
vacation.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't
they
they
think
realize
it's
they
a
joined
vacation,
an army.
you know.
Yeah.
These clothes sure don't fit you very well, do they?
Oh, they'll be all right for now. We only use them for a few days until I forget.
That's right, too.
And then they automatically get in trouble as soon as they get there, and they have them washing all the clothes.
This was one of my favorites.
The mounds
I
and
really
mounds and
enjoyed
mounds
this
of
one.
clothes.
Yes, there's mountains and mountains of, literally a mountain of clothes.
Well,
I
the way
thought
they
that
go
was
about doing
clever,
it, just
too,
that
yeah.
he's Hardy's washing, and then he irons at the end of it. But Laurel is looking around. You realize for about 2 minutes in this scene, looking for a loose spot on the clothesline to hang
Yeah.
Yeah.
one set of like long pants or whatever, and he goes,
And it's just this. It's like football field.
Right.
huge stretch, and then he's got to go and get one more.
And
he
there's
climbs.
a mound, and I did like that. That
Yeah.
was clever. The mound of laundry gay.
He goes up to the top
And
to
it's-
grab one. So
Like
it's
Joe
clearly,
said, it's literally a hill of laundry. I mean, I was really impressed by it. It was as big as a house.
Yeah.
And he climbs up on top of it and grabs like another shirt to wash.
Right.
It
and
was
then
really
walks
ridiculous.
down what's clearly been. You can tell there might have been footing in there.
Oh, I'm
Solid
sure,
stuff.
but it was a huge
Yeah, it was a
structure
massive
that
structure.
he
It was
he
pretty
walks
fun.
up, grabs his shirt, climbs down to wash it. It was
So
really,
kudos to their prop people there for
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that. When you think about it,
That whole
this
scene.
this era was a time when they actually had to build something
Everything.
and then put the clothes on top of it.
They had thousands of pairs of these.
Yeah.
Yeah,
under-
who's the prop person who has to set up all those like individual clotheslines?
Yeah.
And put up all those
Right.
clothes. I mean, what a pain.
for a few second shot.
Yeah.
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 To get it in the shot, the frames.
But it looked real.
It did look real.
It was real.
Looks good. Looks good.
Now I have to admit, when they get in when they're in the Legion, This
Yeah.
is all sort of a blur of just sort of silliness.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of plot other than, like you said, they just sort of continually get in progressively worse trouble.
Right.
So what happened? What's the?
They
what
tried
happens?
to leave, and they lock him up.
That's right. They get imprisoned.
Uh-huh.
in the jail
Because
cell.
Ollie feels like he's over her.
He's over her, so like, I don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
That's right. They just want to walk. They think they're done. Like,
And
okay,
they
we're
write the
done.
letter to the commandant or whatever.
Yeah.
The commander, like basically sawed off.
Yeah, they
Right.
pretty much tell him to F off.
Right.
Again, thinking this is like a vacation resort.
Yeah.
And they can just leave when they
Yeah, I
want.
think
And they're shocked by how much they get paid.
yeah.
That's what
How
I thought
little
was
they
funny.
get paid.
How little they get paid.
Because what is their job back in the States? It's some,
Don't
They work at a
work
fish
factory?
market or something.
Yeah, that's it, a fish market.
and they make but we make more than that. No, and so
And it was still a pitiful amount
Yeah.
of money, even probably in 1939. It's
Yeah.
like a quarter a day. Or,
If you think that you're going to get that much work out of me for 3 cents a day, brother, you are crazy.
Is that so?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that goes for me, too. Because we don't work for less than 25 cents a day. Do we, Ollie?
So they wind up in jail. They lock him up, and they manage to get out. Like
there's a secret tunnel or
Yeah.
whatever, ridiculous.
something ridiculous.
It ends up in the officer's house.
Yes, where the wife of Francois, the woman that Ollie's in love with, happens to be there.
She arrives to visit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She passes out, and they put her on the bed, and Francois comes in. He thinks
When they're trying to revive her. you
Yeah.
know.
and he thinks she's being molested by them.
Uh-huh.
And that's when the crazy chase sequence scene happens. And
Which goes on way too long.
it
but
does.
That's
It does go on for a while.
I went. That was like a 15-minute scene.
That was
It was
third of
a
the film.
third. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a third to 20% of the movie. It just seemed to go on and on where they're chasing, and finally the flying comes in.
Yes, where they get there as they're getting away, they get onto a plane, but neither one of them really knows how to fly a plane.
What I found interesting about that scene is how poorly made the plane was, and I don't know if it was because it was fake or I didn't research this. If planes really were made that way back in the 30s, but
They were pretty flimsy.
They were
back
pretty
in those days.
flimsy because
Yeah.
that was just sort of shocking. You see them flying this flimsy thing where the steering wheel's coming off.
Well,
and-
no, that's the gag, but the planes themselves were pretty flimsy, but not that flimsy.
And so what happens with the airplane?
They finally crash the airplane, and Ollie dies, and you see his spirit going away, and it's just Stan Laurel. And
As he's waving.
yeah.
Everybody.
Ollie waves bye-bye as the spirit is leaving. And Stan he walks away, and I guess he's a guy away from the Legion because they think they're dead because of the plane crash.
Yeah.
And then he runs into a horse, which tells him what another fine mess he's got him in with.
A
Sometime
horse
later.
with a mustache
Yeah.
and a hat, a
Yes.
bowler hat.
Yeah. So he
Which I thought that bit was cute.
That
I
was
liked that
cute.
bit. And yes, because it's
It was very
clear
cheesy.
the horse has Ollie's voice and Stan.
It's supposed to be a reincarnated.
Yeah.
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 So Joe, do you want to say anything else
It's-
before we just sort of let people give reviews and comments?
It's the easiest Laurel and Hardy movie to get because it's the only Laurel and Hardy movie in public domain.
Oh yes.
So it's very easy to find this one.
Yeah, I watched mine on YouTube. So yeah, the whole thing was on
Me too.
there.
Also, I just found this out the other day when I was reading about it a little bit in pop culture, according to the wiki page of this thing. In the Doctor Who episode of The Impossible Astronaut, Amy and Rory are watching a DVD of this film. And you see the Doctor appearing in the film and waving at them. And then he leaves, and it's Stan and all it's still dancing together.
Oh,
So I thought that was pretty funny.
that is.
Apparently the escape shark scene was put in, taken out, put him back in, and taken back out. Like they couldn't decide if they wanted the shark or not in it. One of the reasons I am a big fan of Laurel and Hardy is of a lot of groups during that era of comedy duos all hated each other. I mean, by the time they died, they were like bitter enemies, and it was like the Sunshine Boys, if you ever seen that. Oliver Hardy and Stan Laurel were best friends till the end. And actually, when Oliver Hardy died, Stan Laurel retired from making movies. He wouldn't make any more he wouldn't make any movies without Oliver Hardy. He took it pretty bad. And Oliver Hardy got really sick. I mean, I think by the time he died, he weighed something like 150 pounds. Like, he got tiny, tiny, tiny.
So you want to give your review? Do you want to go first?
You know, it's not the best Laurel and Hardy movie. I enjoyed it. It was fun. But really, the movie I was actually thinking of was called Sons of the Desert, which is supposed to be much funnier than this one. But I still had a good time with this one. It was fun. And I watched it. I was like, oh, I remembered a lot of the gags in it from my childhood, because there's a lot of a lot of the same repetitive gags in there. If you ever want to see like Oliver Hardy, their best bits ever was in. I can't remember what the name of the short is, but it's their piano moving short. If you ever get a chance to watch that one.
So out of 1,000 stars.
Out of 1,000 stars, I would give it 562.
Jenny.
I thought this movie was cute. I don't know if I would watch it again, but it definitely made me appreciate Laurel and Hardy. It made me want to watch some of their other movies, which I haven't watched in years.
March of the Wooden Soldier.
Yes, that was the one I was thinking of in particular. But it was fun, and since it's only an hour and 10 minutes, I would definitely recommend it to someone who just wants to watch a cute, funny movie.
Yeah.
And out of 1,000 stars, I'd probably give it 600.
Wow. Julie?
Yeah, I didn't realize it was only an hour and 10 minutes. Because it's so short, it is just like a fun little romp that, you know, if it was 2 hours, I might say don't bother. The only other Laurel and Hardy I had to compare it to is March of the Wooden Soldiers, which I love. And that is a little bit more advanced, I think, in their comedy routine. So a lot of the timing was really good. I thought it was cute. It was fun. It was okay. The shark scene, or where they threw the stuff in, that they almost committed suicide. That was really funny. Some of the running around when they're soldiers was funny. There was just enough moments of really funny to make the entire film actually worth it. I would give it about like 550 out of 1,000.
You guys don't. It's a joke. I think Joe and I were.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I like running with the joke. You know?
No, I know.
Joke,
But
now we all have to do it.
Yeah.
We started out with what would you give it?
I don't want you to feel bound by that, but if you want to, go ahead. Mike?
It was funny in part. It had a sweet quality to it in a way, but also kind of sad. I mean, you feel kind of bad for Hardy. You know, I wasn't quite aware at first off that they were all teasing him. So you have a certain, like, because you're thinking, this guy's such a goofball, but why are they all giggling? I'm like,
roses are red, candy is sweet. This is something I sent you to eat. Olive. Oh, that's too funny. But the flowers are beautiful. Who is he? He's the American guest, number 4. But we must not ridicule his generosity. Really, he and his friend are very kind.
I felt bad for Hardy throughout. He wants to kill himself, and Laurel seems broken up by that. So I would say it had its fun light moments. It did drag on though. I found there was a lot of dragging on in this that you're just like, oh, it could have been a half hour, you know, just a quick short. So I would give it 2 stars and say you could watch it once, but there's probably other better Laurel and Hardys that you might like. I'm sorry, 500 out of 1,000.
Okay, that's better. 500 out of 1,000. I thought it was okay. There were huge parts of it that went on too long. It reminded me a lot of like an extended Three Stooges episode.
Yeah.
Just imagine multiplying a Three Stooges episode by about 3. This is sort of what it.
But not as violent. Like the Three Stooges is much more.
No, I agree. They don't hurt each other as much. I mean, there's as much falling down and things, but they're not doing it to each other usually. I mean, Laurel and Hardy in this movie, and I admit I'm no expert on Laurel and Hardy. The only other one I've seen is like you guys. I think that's called Babes in Toyland.
It is that one.
No, Babes in Toyland is actually
the Netflix
modern
one.
Right, March of the Wooden Soldiers is the name
original
of
one.
it with Laurel and Hardy.
And from the 30s.
Is it?
That's the one you have. Yeah.
We bought
It's
that
called
for you.
March of the
The
Wooden
Wooden
Soldiers.
Soldiers. Babes in Toyland is the Disney version.
Yes.
Oh,
Same
okay.
kind of story with Little Bo Peep's over.
Well, yeah, the one with Little Bo Peep and Tom and all that, and the Bogeyman. That one is fun.
Bogeyman.
Huh?
That's great.
Tom, yeah.
Tom.
That one I remember. That's the only Laurel and Hardy I
Yeah.
really knew. So this was sort of a new experience. Yeah, it was okay. I agree. You know, for an hour, it's a B movie. There's no question. Like, this was not their top tier effort. I really liked the suicide scene. I thought was I thought was the cleverest scene in the movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd give it 500 also out of 1,000 stars.
My sentiment is the same as everybody else's. It was fine. It was cute. I don't regret the hour spent. I wouldn't do it again.
It is Babes in Toyland, not March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Oh.
I'm telling you, the cover.
It says March of the Wooden
has
Soldiers.
Oh, they must have made a different cover.
Yeah, because
This is the original title was Babes in Toyland.
Oh.
They may have
check
changed
yours.
it
Then,
later.
I'd be curious. To
Yours
see.
does
The
say March of
DVD
the Wooden
case?
Soldiers because I borrowed it before.
Ours
that's
did
why.
too. I thought the opening credits said it.
March of the Wooden
Oh,
Soldiers.
maybe there was some copyright fight with Disney or something.
Yeah, could
There
be.
might have
Maybe.
been.
Who knows?
What does IMDb say?
All important. How many stars, Mary? Would you?
You know, I'd have to study the 1,000-star system to feel confident to feel grounded in my answer.
You have to say
So-
something.
What a cop-out.
Yeah.
You have to give at least a rough estimate of your.
I would imagine that I'm somewhere between the 450 to 550 box.
Okay.
I would check that box.
The original is called Babes in Toyland in 1934. It was re-released in 1948 with about 6 minutes cut out of it
Cut out.
and retitled March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Okay.
So it's both.
It's about
Or it could be, wow, that's interesting.
Because I always knew it as March of the Wooden Soldiers
Because it was
the
the
Babes in
re-release.
Toyland.
But
I
if
always
you
thought
watch
it was a
March of the
Netflix.
Wooden Soldiers and you watch Babes in Toyland,
6 minutes different.
there's a 6-minute difference.
Interesting.
I wonder
Because it
what
was
the 6
re-edited
minutes-
as
It was
March
the
of the Wooden
Bogeyman.
Soldiers.
It was?
They probably took 6 minutes out, I would think, of that scene. 'cause
No, they took it out of the beginning, I think.
did
It
they?
said, I'll tell you.
Come to think of it, I can tell the opening to that does seem a little.
Yeah.
It just
unstable.
starts.
Yes. There's no intro. It's just sort of bam.
It just starts with Barnaby walking to the shoe, right?
Barnaby.
The very beginning of the opening tune, Toyland, was trimmed, and the Go to Sleep, Slumber Deep number was cut completely. Also missing was Barnaby's attempted abduction of Little Bo Peep and his ultimate fist fight with Tom Tom.
We saw that though, I feel like.
Because no copyright notice was included, some believe this version immediately went into the public domain, even though the original Babes in Toyland is still under copyright. When the film was sold to television, the TV prints retained the opening credits music, but used specially made for TV opening credits showing puppets of Laurel and Hardy in traditional 1930s attire and hats. The complete film was restored and colorized for TV showing and video in 1991. In 2006, the complete print was again restored and colorized by Legend Films using the latest technology.
Well, I guess everybody listening should watch March of the Wooden
There you
Soldiers.
go.
What
You
year
guys
was
get
that? What year
you're
was
getting
that?
a little bonus, our
Yeah,
listeners.
Honey,
You
what
get
year
to
was
hear-
March of the Wooden Soldiers done?
1934.
34
34 is
originally,
the
and then
original, then
48.
40 something.
48.
48 was
Re-release.
releasing with 6 minutes cut.
So you're getting Babes, because that's the one we know. All of us, I think, saw that as kids. So
I
that's
would
the,
like
only,
to see it again.
the only one we know. Well, when it's your turn, you can pick.
Next time, though, we're not going to be watching Laurel and Hardy, but something related to the Halloween season.
Ooh.
It's going to be the 1930s Bela Lugosi Dracula, much more of a classic. I'll be picking that one. It's my turn.
That's your selection. So you're going to be leading the talk next time.
Who was after Mike?
You are.
That was
That's Mike's selection.
Mhm.
So we're going to do Dracula next. Hopefully before Halloween. Well, and yeah, probably if you watch you're here, Julie, you'll get to go after Mike.
But you have to be here.
I know, I always
Make your
miss
pick.
it. It's like always my turn.
Yeah, if
next
you're not here to
year. I
make
miss
your
that
pick, you
episode
lose.
that I don't get to-
So join us next time. We hope you like this abbreviated podcast. This was a pretty simple movie, though, not a lot to say. Next time we'll talk about Dracula, where we'll have probably a lot more to talk about.
I'm Dracula.
We got to go back or we'll lose our job at the fish market in Des Moines.
No! No! All mankind doomed. No! We're falling right into it, into the heart. Ah!